It has been some time since Donald Trump has been on Facebook or the social media platforms. As we all know, unfortunately, he was booted back after the January 6th Capitol Hill protests. And now Facebook is debating whether to let Donald Trump, former president, back onto Facebook. And they have an entire oversight board that's going to be doing the analysis on this. And so I want to share this story with you. It comes over from the Washington Post, and we're gonna sort of break this up. I want to show you how the process works. Now, they are expected to announce the decision on Wednesday. So today is Monday, we've got Tuesday, and then Wednesday they're going to tell us, is Trump back on Facebook or not? Is he going to be able to come back on? I don't, I would imagine that he would take that opportunity, or his team would, because of the audience and the reach. But at the same time, it's Donald Trump, man. I mean, maybe he just says, I'm just going to build my own platform and to hell with you, Zuck. Well, we'll see. So this article says here, it's been 4 months, long time, since Donald Trump was last allowed to post on Facebook after Zuckerberg said he was banned indefinitely. Now, the Facebook Oversight Board, the FOB, the Facebook Oversight Board says it's an outside group that is funded and created by Facebook to review the social media's giant's thorniest policy choices. They've made a decision on the case. It's expected to announce on Wednesday whether Facebook can uphold its suspension of Trump or whether it has to allow him back on the site. So I want to show you the purpose of this board. What is this? This is the first time I heard about this. The Oversight Board. Okay. And I've long railed against these tech companies on this show like a broken record. You've heard it. I've heard it. I'm going to do it again because they drive me nuts. I've said this many times that Facebook, Google, Twitter, all of them, right? They are so powerful in this country that they can deplatform a president, a former president. And it's not just, because he might say something dangerous that's dangerous to the country. You have to think about this from the power dynamic. They are also telling 80 million citizens, 80 million potential customers, 80 million clients, people who use their service, you are not even a concern with us. If you want to be on Twitter to hear from Donald Trump, nobody cares, right? It's not about Donald Trump being able to spread his message out, which is what they really want. They don't want him to communicate with his constituency, so they silence him. But what about the people on the receiving end? Okay, what about guys like me who say, I want to know what the president has to say. I want to know what Donald Trump has to say. There's a pretty easy way for me to get that information, whether it's for the show, whether it's to support a cause or to criticize and condemn a cause. I want to know about it. He was still in office when they threw him off of the platform, I believe. It was short, right there. January 6th, Biden was sworn in on the 20th, so a little bit of an overlap there. But you get my point, right? A former president booted off of a platform. Huge problem. Huge problem for free speech, in my opinion. Didn't like that concept. And so what's Facebook going to do? Well, they formed a board now. It's got 40 people on it. I want to show you what the board looks like, how the process works, so that when the decision comes out on Wednesday, we're up to speed. Then we're going to see what other governors are doing about some of this stuff. In particular, we're going to look at Ron DeSantis out of Florida, who passed a new bill that sort of puts the kibosh on some of this stuff. So here is the purpose of the Facebook Oversight Board, which is extremely Orwellian, if you ask me. And you can see it's got this little circle here. All right. Purpose of the board. It's to promote free expression by making principled, independent decisions regarding content on Facebook and Instagram by issuing recommendations on company content policy. So does anybody believe this free expression garbage? They tell you that. And Susan Wielecki over from YouTube, same thing, right? She just won an award for free speech that I think YouTube sponsored. So they're creating their own committees and then passing off their hard policy decisions or giving themselves awards from the committees that they create. Here's Facebook doing the same thing. When fully staffed, the board will consist of 40 members from around the world, represents a diverse set of disciplines and backgrounds. Members will be empowered to select content cases for review and to uphold or reverse Facebook's content decisions. The board is not designed to be a simple extension of the existing content review process. Rather, it will review a select number of highly emblematic cases and determine if decisions were made in accordance with Facebook's stated values and policies. So it's almost like a Supreme Court, right? Like the tech company has its own little court that things work their way up to. If my page gets suspended or canceled or whatever, I go through the regular process. Hey, this was not fair. They say we don't care. And you say, okay, great. Thanks. If you're the president, though, the former president, you get a little bit more of a second look. So that's happening now, and they're going to review it to see if Donald Trump promotes free expression, according to Facebook's terms. The board is connected to Facebook, and the decisions are actually binding. It's a global body of experts. It's going to review the decisions, going to make binding decisions on that content, which means Facebook must implement them unless doing so could violate the law. The board will also be able to issue policy recommendations. We're going to find out who's on the board here in a minute. The board's independent judgment is critical to its function. Both the board and its administration are funded by an independent trust and supported by an independent company that is separate from Facebook. The board's structure, responsibility, purpose, relationship are outlined in the Oversight Board charter. The board acts as a service provider to Facebook. So Facebook, it sounds like, is funding this, and then they're going to be funneling a bunch of decisions back to Facebook. So it's sort of a nice way for them to separate themselves from some of the political, let's say, blast zone. If they come back out and say, well, Donald Trump's not allowed on the platform, Facebook can say, well, we didn't do it. The Oversight Board did with 40 people. They reviewed it, and look at these people. They're highly credentialed. They know what we're talking about, so that Mark Zuckerberg doesn't get the blame for it, so that Facebook as a company, their brand is less tarnished from the MAGA constituency in this country that want to see and hear from a candidate that they support. And so here we've got the Oversight Board. They're going to be making the decision for Facebook so that they don't have to get their feet muddy. We know here, this is how the process works. Facebook says, ahead of our announcement on the Trump suspension case, a reminder of how the Oversight Board works. Number one, the board selects cases that affect many users, are of critical importance to public discourse, and it raises important questions. So yeah, I think it's critically important that a former president be allowed to communicate with the country. A diverse 5-member panel convenes to deliberate the case. So of the 40, who are they? Members of the panel are randomly chosen. Once a case is assigned to the panel, it should be decided by the Oversight Board and implemented by Facebook within 90 days. The panel looks at whether the content violates Facebook's community standards and values and international human rights standards. Then we have the panel considers information from the user, Facebook, outside experts, public comments to reach a draft decision. And then the decision is circulated to all of the oversight members for review. A majority must sign off for a decision to be published. So it sounds like a simple majority. In order for the decision to make it to the next step, then the decision is published on our website. Facebook must implement decisions within 7 days and respond publicly to recommendations within 30 days. So just like a Supreme Court case, okay, you're waiting for the order. Are they going to grant certiorari or not? Oh, they did. So, I don't know, maybe Trump's going to be sitting there waiting for Facebook to notify him whether he can get back on the platform. Now, who are these people? Expertise from around the world. To ensure a global perspective, the Oversight Board includes members from a variety of cultural and professional backgrounds, reflecting the diversity of the Facebook community itself. These members were chosen because they are experienced at deliberating thoughtfully and collegially, skilled at making and explaining decisions based on a set of policies or principles, and familiar with digital content. Special consideration was given to people who have demonstrated a proficiency in questions of online content moderation and a history of working with others on difficult problems toward a common goal. This is the board, my friends. We've got Nicholas Suzar. We've got Sudhir Krishnawamy. So let's take a look. You're probably not going to remember a lot of these names or recognize a lot of these names, but let's take a look at where these people come from. So we have Professor, School of Queensland University, Technology from Australia, India, Vice Chancellor, Professor of Law, National Law School of India, Professor Director of Constitutional Law over at Stanford, is Michael McConnell. Emmy Palmer, she's an advocate lecturer at the Interdisciplinary Study over in Israel. We have another professor from Hungary. We have an executive director, somebody who got a background in international law coming from Cameroon. Yemen, we've got a Nobel Peace Prize laureate. We have shareholder UNESCO, senior editor, board member at the Jakarta Post from Indonesia, Denmark, Senegal, Ghana, journalism from the UK, program manager, Open Society, former prime minister from Denmark. Wow. Okay. All right. So we've got Nadat Dad, Digital Rights Foundation, Columbia Law School, Jamal Green. We've got Mayani Kiai, Kenya, Evelyn Ashwad, College of Law. We have John Samples, Vice President of the Cato Institute. So I recognize that. We have another professor, law school, National Catherine Chen. Is that Zuckerberg's wife? Is that Zuckerberg's wife? Very curious on that one. Suzanne Nocell, CEO. All right. And so that's who we've got, right? I don't know what that means. If that means anything, but that's who's on there. Looks like a lot of lawyers, looks like a lot of people from law schools, Cato Institute, and others. Nothing particularly interesting stands out, but we'll see. And we'll see if they let Trump back on. Now, BLM, they're out today. They have a new recommendation because they have some things that they want, as we all know. And they posted, or they released a new list of demands today, which is great because I've been curious as to what their demands are. Maybe this will solve the justice problem in our society. What does BLM want to solve justice in America? They've been very angry about it for some time now. Maybe they'll give us some guidance. What do they want? What do they want? Well, they want Trump permanently banned from all digital media platforms. Okay. BLM released an updated set of demands and is giving people the opportunity to sign their name onto the list. We are joining Representatives Ilhan Omar, Rep. Ayanna Pressley, Cori Bush, Jamal Bowman, and others who are demanding Trump be immediately convicted in the United States Senate. Reads the first demand on the BLM website. Trump must also be banned from holding elected office in the future. Well, folks, not going to get that one, okay? Because you already tried that. You already had the impeachment twice. And you tried to convict him twice. Didn't happen. So you can try again, I guess, but you're going to have to concoct a whole new reason. And you're not good at it. You already tried to concoct the reasons twice. Didn't work. Try again, though. I don't care. The group also called on former President Donald Trump to be permanently banned from, quote, all digital media platforms, arguing he uses the platforms recklessly and irresponsibly to spread lies and disinformation. Or effectively, right? It's pretty effective, too, using it, which is why it's a good thing he's not on there, because a lot of the Democrats would be angry about that. Turning their attention to Trump loyalists in Congress, the activist group demanded that all GOP lawmakers that stoked Trump's conspiracy theories and encouraged the white supremacists to take action and overturn the election be expelled from Congress. So BLM is just moving the needle forward, right? They're helping us really solve the important issues, like, I don't know, whether Donald Trump is on Facebook or not. It's good. That's good. All right. And what else? What are governors doing around this country? Is there any pushback? Are there any stinking Republicans who are doing anything about this? Not really, other than Ron DeSantis is the only person I can really think that is doing anything meaningful. All of the other senators and House of Representatives losers think that that by calling these people in front of Congress, Jack Dorsey, Mark Zuckerberg, Sundar from Google, and on, they call them in there. They say, hey, isn't it true that you are canceling conservatives? Oh, no, sir, Senator, no. Oh, no, we have algorithms and we have teams and blah, blah, blah. And they go, okay, well, that sounds good, but don't let us catch you canceling conservatives there, Jack. Now I'm going to go back and use my Nokia phone from the 1980s because I have no idea what you're even talking about. So are they going to do anything about it? No, of course not, because the senators are largely owned by the big tech people. Okay, there's a quote, I forget who it's from. I learned about this in my political science class. Maybe somebody knows the answer to this, but this was years ago, so the name escapes me. But there was a billionaire, one of the Vanderbilts or one of those people, somebody said, hey, sir, you've accomplished everything in the world. You've got billions of dollars. You've got the breakers here. You've got all this stuff. Why don't you run for Senate? He said, you know what? I don't need to run for Senate. I already have the best senators money can buy. Owns them all. Same thing, right? Same thing with all of these people. That's why when they get called in, when the CEOs get called in front of the Senate, it looks like child's play, like they just brought them in for lunchtime and nap time and playground during kindergarten. Ridiculous. So who is actually doing anything about this? Well, Ron DeSantis is trying something. Here we see this comes over from The Hill, written by Lexi Lonas a couple days ago, April 30th. Florida passes a bill prohibiting social media companies from banning politicians. Florida House and the Senate voted this week to pass legislation that would prohibit social media companies from banning politicians. Fines for social media companies that try to ban politicians from their platform could add up to $250,000 a day for statewide politicians and $25,000 a day for other elected officials. So if you're a statewide position, if you are a federal senator, statewide. Well, I don't know what that means, but I think that the distinction would be like if you are a federally elected senator or House of Representative individual, that's statewide office versus maybe a local House representative or a local House, Senate seat. We have the bill, which still allows politicians to be suspended for 2 weeks for individual posts to be taken down if they violate the company policies, is now headed over to Ron DeSantis, governor's desk. Opponents argue that the measure is unconstitutional, which it may be, and that Republicans are only advancing it because President Trump was banned from multiple platforms. Well, obviously, right? Obviously, this is in response to that. They're only advancing it because of former President Trump was banned? Yes, of course. Yes, you got it. Ding, ding. You hit it on the head. Well done. Stop inciting insurrection against our republic. We're hearing this bill because Twitter finally deplatformed former President Trump after 5 people were killed in an insurrection that he incited at the Capitol, said some bizarre representative, Carlos Guillermo Smith, said during a debate. Well, Carlos, you recall, right, that Officer Sicknick died of natural causes. Several of the other people died of essentially natural causes. We have Ashley Babbitt, who was shot and killed by law enforcement. So 3 of the people, I think, died from heart attacks and other stress-related incidents, and they were part of the MAGA people. So, you know, they were they killed by the insurrection, in an insurrection, or did they just die in the middle of a heated situation? In other words, did the insurrection kill them or did they just die? I don't know. Yeah, I guess you can make the argument. All right. So Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is going to sign the bill banning social media deplatforming. Bill also requires tech companies to give users 7 days notice that they are at risk of being banned and offer them the opportunity to correct the issue. Suspensions of up to 14 days could still be allowed. What this bill is about is sending a loud message to Silicon Valley, and they are the absolute arbiters of truth. NBC News reporter. What this bill does, send a loud message. The Constitution does not have an asterisk that says only certain speech is free and protected. Advocacy groups have struck back saying the law would violate their First Amendment right to decide who can participate on their platforms. This is going to be an ongoing legal issue. We're going to see a lot more of this stuff. Ultimately, the Supreme Court might get involved because Lord knows none of our elected congresspeople will do anything about it. So we'll see. First question over from watchingthewatchers.locals.com. By the way, if you want to support the show, that's the place to do it. It's at watchingthewatchers.locals.com. Awesome platform. A lot of new stuff coming. And I'm going to be putting a little bit more time into that platform. Posted over there today talking about a book club or, potentially, Zoom meetups and monthly groups. We can connect a little bit more. Doesn't that sound fun? Getting to know each other. You can use a pseudonym. You can put a mask on. I don't care. It'll be fun. As long as it's PG. This is a family show. We have NY Renal MD says most liberal media cannot operate without Trump. They can also see the writing on the wall. Census data, 5 less blue congressional seats. Likely change in the House. Senate will change hands. Twitter is nothing without Trump. It is true, right? Twitter's kind of bland these days. Twitter was like an anxiety-inducing click for a long time with Trump on there. Every time I open them, like, oh God, what's coming next? But it's kind of fun. It's exciting. We don't have that anymore. It's mostly boring. That's not true. I have a lot of great follows on there. Follow many of you, but it's different. Doesn't quite feel the same. I'm on team bring Trump back just for the spectacle of it. Farmer's Daughter 4 says, do you think Trump even wants to come back on Facebook? I hope not. I think it's to get people back. I say, screw him. Yeah, I mean, honestly, yeah. If you're Trump, at some point you kind of go, all right, whatever, right? Have your garbage platform. We're going to start our own and go different places. But remember, there's a good argument that Donald Trump won the 2016 election on Facebook, right? There's some very good interviews between Brad Parscale and who was the guy who interviewed him? Anyways, if you look, obviously he's had some troubles recently, but he had an early interview in the right after the 2016 election where he explains what he did. They ran like 50,000 Facebook ads, different permutations, and it was very effective for them, which is why they had to mute that. They had to sort of put limitations on that in the 2020 election. And we saw that actually happen. Facebook moved the needle on it. So, does Trump try to, get back onto the platform because he's so effective at using it? Maybe, right? So it's sort of you buy, or you sort of swallow your pride a little bit. Okay, you kick me off. You want me back? All right. You don't want me. I don't want you. But maybe I do need you. Okay, maybe I will come back. Maybe this is sort of a mutually beneficial relationship. It's a little bit like an abusive relationship, but we still need each other. So maybe he goes back. Norovira in the House says, I am pretty sure that the only team of Trump will ever come back on, that only team of Trump will come back on and make insignificant announcement that will not ever be breaking news. There is no way that Trump will ever give Facebook this power. He said so about Twitter and Facebook. He has been communicating on Telegram, Parler, and Gab, which I think is the better move. Honestly, it's like, abandon these platforms if you can, if you can avoid it. Which is why we push locals so much. So we've got Edon Tess in the House says the biggest problem with the banning of Trump is that the tech guys have ingrained in the public's mind that Trump is dangerous. They said he was a danger to society over and over, and now many, maybe even a majority of people in the U.S. take that as face value. Trump was never convicted or proven to have incited anything. This is all accusation and no proof. Well, and we've gone through it here a lot. We went through the transcript. I went through the words that he used. I looked at, gun and fight and all these things. And we counted the number of times he said fight in there, and we put it in context. And fight like hell against those we did a deep dive on it. I don't know that there's anything that he said on that day that was incitement. I don't think so. I think legally it doesn't fit that. We have Nadarb in the House says, yet Trump did nothing for 4 years to solve this problem, 2 of which Republicans had both House and the Senate. Republicans are trash. Democrats are even worse. They're all criminals in my mind. You're 100% right about this, Nadarb. I was so irritated that they didn't do anything about tech. That's okay. You guys deserve to lose. You're going to, because they really control conversation in this country. And because you didn't do anything about it, you're going to lose. And you're probably still going to lose until you decide to do something about it. But they're not going to, because they're too beholden. They're okay slowly losing as long as they don't lose their seat, which is why they're not willing to step out on a ledge and do something that needs to be done, but is a little bit controversial. They don't want the big heavy hand of big tech to come crashing down on their backs, especially when they need them and their platforms for re-election. But I agree with you, Nadarb, that Republicans are also trash. I haven't seen anything meaningful from the Republican Party in a long time, and it's disappointing. We have Liberty or Death says, did you see that Pence is considering running? He is doing the New Hampshire thing, wants to marry MAGA with traditional conservatives. I do not think he has a shot anymore. I would vote for him over Kamala, but not in the primary. Interesting. Yeah, we've got a lot of people who are sort of jockeying right now. We've got Ron DeSantis, who's looking like he's making a run for sure. Even Trump might be doing it. Pence certainly looks like he's doing it. Then you have the always runnings like Ted Cruz, probably Josh Hawley at some point. We'll see who else is coming down the pike. I always liked Pence. I always liked Mike Pence. I thought he was a very, very solid vice president. I thought he was very loyal, extremely, extremely polished as a politician. I mean, his debate with Kamala Harris was like a bloodbath, in my opinion. He was outstanding. And I think he would make a formidable candidate. Jeremy Matrita says they will implement their findings if it complies with the law. However, if they decide to stifle someone's First Amendment rights, they seem to have no problem with that. Yeah, and a lot of people are talking about this concept like, well, they're private companies. They get to moderate however they want to do it. They say, hey, you moderate here on YouTube, you moderate here over on Locals. What are you doing, Mr. Free Speech? Huh? You're not allowing certain things. And look, there's a difference here, in my opinion, between moderation and cancellation. And when you're a platform like Facebook that literally owns essentially social media, I mean, where else are you going to go? You've got Facebook, they own Instagram, they own WhatsApp, they own everything. You've got an alternative in Twitter, and then you've got an alternative in Google, kind of, on YouTube, right? And they all are colluding with each other. We saw it happen with Donald Trump. And when people tried to go to a different platform like Parler, Amazon got in on the game and booted them also. So people say, well, it's just private business. And my argument back to them is, well, that's what a lot of private businesses did back in the 60s, 50s, during segregation era, 40s and before that, right? Those are private businesses. Should they be able to segregate certain people from other people? No, because our society said that's ridiculous. That's offensive to us as human beings, because we think that all people are equal and we want people to be able to have lunch together or to drink from the same drinking fountain or use the same restrooms, because that segregation is offensive. We have civil rights in this country that lift the bottom on this. You might be a racist white, car shop owner, but we're not going to let you segregate people in your store for good reason. Same concept here. Free speech is paramount. When you have these platforms that have essentially become the public square, when Facebook controls conversation because they own everything, and when you try to go somewhere else and have a conversation, they just reach out to Twitter. Twitter calls Amazon. They shut down the whole friggin' website. What are you supposed to do? And so more civil rights and more opportunity to express yourself are warranted. If you're on my locals platform and you say something that's racist or offensive, well, we may boost you out of there, but you're not canceled, right? You just can't come over to my house and have dinner with me because you were rude and offensive. But you certainly have the ability to speak. You don't have to come in my house, but you can still be on locals. You can go to other platforms and you can go around and still be meaningfully engaged, because I do not have a monopoly on the entirety of the internet. I don't have a monopoly on this channel on YouTube or elsewhere over the entire platform. So if we mute somebody in the chat, it's because it's moderation. You can go to somebody else's channel and still participate. So your speech is not, being eliminated. It's just being moderated. Same concept that the Supreme Court actually talks about with time, place, and manner restrictions. Okay, you have free speech in society. You can go out and protest, but they can put some time, place, and manner restrictions on you. You do not have the ability to take a bullhorn and just go scream in somebody's office in their face. That's disorderly conduct. That's not free speech, because we have limitations on it that are reasonable, provided that you still maintain your ability to speak. You still maintain your ability to express yourself. So when these platforms are now coming down and eliminating that and colluding like this cabal of tech bros to prevent people they don't like from participating at all, that's a whole different conversation. That's not a private business conversation anymore. That's people who have commandeered the public square, and they're making it impossible for other people with whom they disagree to participate in free speech. That is a fundamental concept that is inherent to America, and we got to protect that and uphold that. Just like we did back during segregation. We said that is not acceptable. Same thing should be happening here, but our weak, quisling politicians are not doing anything about it. NY Renal MD says, however, they try to hide and bury the fact that the president and others were banned across platforms. The fact is that if the different social media outlets colluded and acted on behalf of a Democratic Party, they were acting on behalf of the government, which totally obviates Section 230 and has serious First Amendment considerations. Yeah, and I just think it falls below the standard that we have deemed to be important in this country. And I mean this across I don't care what your political perspective is. If it's dangerous speech, if it's unpopular speech, those by and large are supposed to be protected. Okay. Your ability to speak out against your government, that's very important free speech. It's a big reason we have it. Okay. Free speech is not about polite speech. It's not about making sure that people get their pronouns right. It's about saying, hey, our government is blowing it and they need to be held accountable for it. And we have to be capable of saying those things. Otherwise, what the hell's the point of the First Amendment? And if the social media companies don't allow us to do that, they're falling below the standards and they need to be held to account. Great questions. All came over from watchingthewatchers.locals.com. Thank you so much for your support. I want to give a quick shout out to some of you who came over and are currently supporting us. This is a big shout out. Welcome to Locals to Flux. Good to see you in the house. We have Donna LV. Welcome to you. Evangelaman, Angelaman. Good to see you. Welcome to the show. Sorry about that butchering of your name. We got Kojiro in the house. We have Coucher5309, and we have a Finnish Fish, all supporting the show at locals.com. And we're very grateful for that. I also want to thank everybody who asked a question today and participated in the show. Big shout outs to all of you. You know who you are on the screen. And then, of course, all of our supporters on Locals, you're on the list right here. And I want to just give a little bit of a shout out and pay tribute to you because you help keep things rocking and rolling. And honestly, I had a conversation on Locals today. There was a creators call and there was a lot of great people on there, and I'm very excited about where the platform is going. We were talking specifically about some improvements that they're going to be making, and they are cool. They're going to be bundling some stuff so that you can actually get a full, kind of pay for a full year, get 2 months free, which will be great. Organize stuff onto playlists so that you can, sort of easily make the content more easily accessible. You can also, they're also going to be rolling out live streaming, which is just awesome, which I'm super excited about. So, Dave Rubin is sort of the spearhead of this platform. And so they're going to be testing live streaming on his community first, and then they're going to slowly start to roll it out to the rest of us. So Scott Adams, I think, is probably up there. There's a doctor, a psychologist called Carolyn over at Locals. She's got a huge community. Of course, Viva and Barnes have a huge community. They also do a lot of live streaming there. So my point is there's some real weight behind this platform. It's not sort of one of these things that feels like a project, like, oh, maybe we'll just throw a website up and see. They've done a full round of investing, so they've got a lot of people, including Scott Adams, who made significant investments into this platform, which means it's here to stay. And a lot of these people are very unequivocal in their commitment to free speech and their ability to, or their desire to protect that. And so, there are a lot of different platforms out there. There's many people are using different, OnlyFans or Patreon or Subscribestar or Minds.com. There's tons of them, right? You can pick anyone you want. I'm very, very happy that we decided to go with Locals because of the people there. And you should have heard the call. I don't want to sort of reveal too much about it because I don't know what the rules are. I'm very new to all of this, but the sort of takeaway there was, there are a lot of people who are in alignment with a lot of the same values that I hold to be dear, that I talk a lot about here, that I know many of you hold to be dear because you tell me, because you talk about it on Locals, you talk about it, you send me emails, DMs on Twitter and stuff. I know you're interested in this. I read the chats, and I'm just very happy that we sort of lucked in to making a decision with this platform because it's cool. There's going to be some pretty neat stuff coming down the pike, and I'm excited to share that with you and make sort of a bigger effort to creating Locals only content, stuff that is maybe not as structured as this show tends to be, maybe a little bit more, personal stuff, more, sort of abstract thoughts, stuff that I don't have time to sort of sit down and PowerPoint out and prepare for the show, where we can have more conversations. We're also playing around with some other ideas. Like, what if we had a book club? What if we had a debate club? What if we had some lectures? We have different people from the community that have some knowledge to share that want to come on and guest speak one month. And we all hop on a Zoom and get to know each other, meet people. I'm part of these networking groups. One's called the Genius Network, where we do that once a month. We get on there, you just get to see everybody, whether you're, actually going to be paying attention or not, whether you're going to be, participating in the event, doesn't really matter. It's all about just, sort of seeing each other and just sort of plugging yourself in. Then before you know it, you're hanging out with these folks. You're actually doing business and creating good relationships and building a community that you can live in and operate in and do business in. And that's sort of the long-term vision. 10 years from now, maybe you just don't even have to worry about any of the wokeism because you're in anti-wokeville. Everybody over there just we're not going to do things that way anymore. So anyways, long story short, I'm just super excited about it. You can see I can go off on this on and on and on. I'm grateful that you are there and supporting us. Once again, it's at watchingthewatchers.locals.com. When you go over there, you can get a free copy of my book. It's a PDF. You can download it. You can also grab a copy of the slides that we went through today. You can get a look at my existence system template, which is a personal productivity tool that's available there. Also download a copy of my impeachment party document. This is a template you can use to impeach anybody that you want. We share links throughout the day, and there are a ton of just really great people over there. So I want to invite you to go check that out at watchingthewatchers.locals.com. And that is it for me, my friends. I want to thank you so much for being here. Before we get out of here, one last reminder that I am a criminal defense lawyer right here at the R&R Law Group. We love to help good people who've been charged with crimes find safety, clarity, and hope in their cases and their lives. So if you happen to know anybody who's been charged with a crime, things like DUIs, drugs, domestic violence, felonies, anything and everything in between, we would be honored and humbled if you sent them our direction. We're very passionate about what we do. We can help people clear those old cases up. We can help them quash old warrants, expunge old cases, clear up arrest records for certain marijuana violations, restore your rights to possess a firearm, your right to vote, your right to apply for federal benefits. Just clear your record clean so that when you're applying for jobs, you don't have to check that box. So we can help with all that. We're very, very passionate about what we do. We offer free case evaluations. We're located in Scottsdale. We can have you come into our office. We can schedule something over the phone or over Zoom, whatever you want to do. We just want to see how we can help. We'll make sure that you leave our office better than when you came in. And that is it for me, my friends. I want to thank you so much again for being a part of the show. Great conversation with Brandon Tatum, former officer from Tucson. So we'll see if we can do some more of those. I'd be curious about your feedback on that too. Do you like those interviews? You like some of that, change it up a little bit? I'd be curious. So let me know. Other than that, I want to wish everybody a very nice night's sleep, very restful, nice hearty dinner. See everybody right back here tomorrow. Same place, same time, 4 p.m. Arizona Mountain. No, Arizona's Pacific, which is the same time in California. Mountain is at 5 p.m., 6 p.m. in Central Texas, and 7 p.m. on the East Coast. And for that one Florida man, everybody, thanks so much for being here. I'll see you right back here tomorrow. Bye-bye.